Your attic right now may be hotter than your oven, not outside your house, inside it, just above your ceiling. On a summer afternoon, the surface of a dark roof can climb into the 150 to 190 degree range. And once that happens, your house starts absorbing that heat like a slow cooker. Your ceiling warms up, your rooms get harder to cool, your air conditioner runs longer, your electricity bill climbs. And most homeowners never question it because the heat feels invisible. You feel the bill, you feel the discomfort, but you do not see the giant solar collector mounted on top of your house. And that is what makes this so strange, because there is a roof treatment designed to reduce that heat dramatically. It does not require tearing off the roof. It is not some futuristic gadget. It is based on one of the oldest building principles on Earth. And in the right conditions, it can reduce attic temperatures by roughly 25 to 35 degrees. So why is that not the default? Why are so many homes still designed to absorb huge amounts of heat and then spend money fighting it back out? That is the real story here. Because this is not just about paint. It is about physics, construction culture, and the strange things the housing industry treats as normal. It starts with a number called albedo. Albedo is a measure of reflectivity. A surface with low albedo absorbs most of the energy that hits it. A surface with high albedo reflects much more of it away. Dark asphalt shingles have very low reflectivity, which means they do exactly what dark surfaces do under direct sun. They soak up heat, a lot of it. That absorbed energy raises the temperature of the roof surface, which heats the roof deck, which heats the attic, which pushes heat into the rooms below. This is the part most people never think about. Your air conditioner is not just fighting the temperature outside. It is fighting the heat your own roof is generating. That is why a house can feel punishingly hot upstairs even when the AC is running non-stop. The problem is not always the air outside. Sometimes the problem is the surface above you, radiating heat downward all afternoon. That is why reflective roofing matters. A highly reflective surface can send much of the sun's energy back into the atmosphere before it ever becomes trapped heat inside the structure. That is the entire logic behind a cool roof. Not magic, not hype, just reflected radiation instead of absorbed radiation. Humans figured this out a very long time ago. Look at Santorini, look at the Cycladic Islands, look at whitewashed towns across the Mediterranean, North Africa, the Caribbean, and southern Spain. Different cultures, different climates, different centuries, same conclusion. If you live under intense sun, lighter exterior surfaces stay cooler. That was not a style decision. That was thermal engineering before the term existed. People did not paint buildings white because they were chasing some timeless coastal aesthetic. They did it because dark surfaces got brutally hot. And once a surface gets hot, the building beneath it pays the price. That is one of the most important parts of this entire story. The core principle is ancient. The materials are modern, but the physics never changed. The sun hitting a dark roof today behaves exactly the same way it did hitting a dark surface 2,000 years ago. So if the principle is that old, why do so many modern houses still ignore it? Because modern roofing was not built around thermal performance first. It was built around standardization. After World War II, asphalt shingles became dominant in American residential construction because they were cheap, easy to manufacture, easy to install, easy to transport, and easy to scale across millions of homes. That made them commercially excellent. But commercially excellent and thermally efficient are not the same thing. A dark asphalt roof is familiar. It is widely stocked. It is easy to replace. It is what contractors already know. It is what homeowners expect to see. And once a material becomes the default, it tends to stay the default. Not because it is perfect, because it is normal. This is how most building standards survive. Not always because they are best, but because they are common. And once something becomes common enough, people stop asking whether it is intelligent. They just assume it must be. That matters because the alternative has existed for a long time. It just never became the mainstream story. The product category is usually called elastomeric roof coating. Sometimes it is sold as cool roof coating. sometimes reflective roof coating, sometimes roof membrane coating. The label matters less than the performance data, because not all white coatings are equal, and not all coatings that look bright actually reflect heat well enough to matter. This is where many homeowners get misled. They think whiteness is the feature. It is not. Performance is the feature. That is why Solar Reflectance Index, or SRI, matters. A serious cool roof product should publish actual numbers, not just words like bright, brilliant, or ultra-white. And this is where the story becomes more useful, because the truth is better than the hype. A reflective roof coating is not the right choice for every roof. It is not something you spread over active leaks, structural damage, trapped moisture, or failing materials and hope for a miracle. It is not a substitute for repairs. It is a performance upgrade for the right roof in the right condition. And when it does make sense, the benefits can be substantial. The roof surface can run dramatically cooler under direct sun. That can reduce the temperature inside the attic by around 25 to 35 degrees. That can reduce how much heat radiates downward into the house. That can lower the load on the cooling system. And over time, by reducing thermal expansion and contraction, it may also reduce some of the stress that degrades roofing materials. This is why the idea is so compelling. You are not changing the weather. You are changing how much of that weather your house absorbs. And compared with a full re-roof, the material cost can be relatively low. Not nothing, but low enough to matter. On a typical home-sized roof, the cost can land in the few $100 range, depending on roof size, brand, and coverage rate. That is still far cheaper than replacing an entire roof. And unlike many expensive home upgrades, this one targets a very basic physical problem directly: too much solar heat being absorbed at the top of the house. Application is also simpler than many people expect. The surface has to be cleaned. It has to be fully dry. Any major cracks, leaks, or damaged sections need to be addressed first. Then, the coating is usually applied in 2 coats with a roller, brush, or sprayer, depending on the product and the roof type. It is not complicated in theory, but it does require proper prep, proper weather, and the right product for the right surface. The best part is that the results are measurable, not in theory, in your own house. You can measure roof surface temperature with an infrared thermometer. You can measure attic temperature before and after. You can compare how long the AC runs. You can compare power bills across similar summer months. That makes this different from a lot of home improvement claims. You do not have to trust a slogan. You can test it. And once you do, the story stops being abstract. It becomes brutally simple. A dark roof absorbs more heat. A reflective roof absorbs less. Less absorbed heat means less heat entering the structure. Less heat entering the structure means less work for the cooling system below. That is not a hack. That is not a trend. That is just building physics. Which makes the final question even more interesting. If the physics is this straightforward, if the results are this measurable, if people in hot climates understood the principles centuries ago, why are so many modern homes still built to absorb so much summer heat by default? The answer is not mystery. It is inertia. Builders stick with what is common. Contractors recommend what is familiar. Homeowners trust what they have seen before. Neighborhoods normalize certain materials. Markets reward repetition. And over time, the standard stops looking like a choice. It just starts looking inevitable. That may be the strangest part of the whole story, because sometimes the system is not built around what performs best. It is built around what became normal first. 2,000 years ago, people living under brutal sun learned that lighter surfaces stayed cooler. That observation survived empires, wars, industries, and entire technological revolutions, because it was true then, and it is true now. The sun did not change. The spectrum did not change. The physics did not change. What changed was the housing system built around your roof. And once you understand that, the bigger question is not whether reflective roof coatings work. The bigger question is why so many homes are still designed to absorb heat on purpose. Because sometimes the most interesting home upgrade is not a new invention. It is an old idea that modern construction quietly stopped prioritizing.